This is Thrashers, Slashers, and the Road to Wrestlemania, a new show on the Stiff Shots Podcast Network where I'll take the time during this pandemic lockdown to catch up with a friend each week to discuss an album, a movie, and a WrestleMania, along with some tangents and ranting on the way. Hey fuck, this is Rick Jimenez, washed up musician, no frills personal trainer, and pro wrestling podcast moron. We're broadcasting from good old Huntington, New York. And today we have Tom Wood, my crazy pal from way out east on Long Island.
Yeah, that's right. You fucking know that's right, you fuck.
Oh, hey, fuck.
Hey, fuck.
So Tom is the bass player of Extinction A.D, the bass player of This Is Hell, and countless other bands. We've known each other for almost 20 years at this point.
That's pretty accurate. Almost 20.
It's disgusting.
It's actually gross because you're old as hell, which makes me old as shit.
If we've known each other for 20 years, that means we've known each other for half of my life.
That's true.
We met around 2000 or 2001 through hardcore and punk shows and playing in bands and such. Comac, AMF, Bowling Lanes, Danter, hardcore shows.
Dancer, Will dancing extra fast.
Eastport, VFW.
Yeah.
The Wishing Well.
Oh my God. My kid wears a Wishing Well t-shirt now.
How old is Fiona now?
11. But yeah, I saved the Wishing Well shirt and she wears that now, along with her This Is Hell shirts.
Does she like it?
It looks funny.
So we also played in American Ice Age together for many, many years. And I remember Fiona came to the show all the way out east at some VFW in Ridgemont, Hamilton, Long Island.
She cried a lot.
Yeah, that show was something she did not like.
It's so funny because when you called me and I was laughing when you called, it's because I have your contact photo is a picture of you from that show making a face at one of the bands playing that show. And it is so funny.
So the year we're talking about is 1986. So a couple of other things that happened in 1986. January 28th, the Challenger space shuttle exploded. Halley's Comet was around. I remember that was like a big deal. I had a Hot Wheel with Halley's Comet on it.
I also had the same one. And I smashed it with a hammer so it looked like it had battle damage. And my dad got real pissed at me.
That sounds like our next video.
It actually is the concept for our next video.
So in 1986, the entire world was going crazy politically. The Philippines, Russia, Iran, Africa. There was bombings and killings across the globe. So essentially, it was the same thing as 2020.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
The Mets won the World Series, which seemed like the most ridiculous thing in the world because the Mets were only better than the Yankees in the 80s, and both those teams were pretty shot. But in the mid-80s, the Mets had a little bit of a run. Were you ever a baseball fan?
Never.
I still am a huge Yankees fan, and I was really excited for the Mets to win just because it was New York.
You actually remember that shit?
Yeah, I remember it vividly. Once the Mets won, my mom got so excited, who was also a diehard Yankees fan forever, that she opened up the door, went outside, and started screaming and jumping up and down on the porch. And by porch, I mean like a shitty piece of slab that was also like slate, because our house was made out of garbage.
It's possible your mom's doing that right now, actually.
So two big albums that came out in 1986 that we're not going to talk about, Slayer, Rain and Blood, and Megadeth, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying?
Why aren't we talking about either of those?
Because we're talking about Master of Puppets.
Well, okay. I had both those albums way after 1986.
You didn't buy those records when you were 4?
No, I didn't buy. I had only Stray Cats when I was 4.
So two movies came out in 1986, and they're also movies that we're not talking about, Top Gun and Howard the Duck. Who would win the fight between Top Gun and Howard the Duck?
Howard. Or, no, Wolfman probably would win the fight. Wolfman, all sandy as shit in volleyball territory.
What about when Howard the Duck is flying through everyone's houses? He goes through some duck on the toilet bowl. Or maybe it's him. He's reading Play Duck.
It's him reading Play Duck.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck, so perverted.
Howie's Funhouse.
Him created Howie's Funhouse, really. He was always in some dirty shit.
Why are you reading Play Duck?
Why are we still here?
Play Duck!
Yeah, Wolfman for sure. Or Val Kilmer.
Two historic comic book graphic novels came out. The Watchmen, which is essentially the 1986 telling of the future, because the world is in shambles, as well as Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. Those are two things you do not care about, but those are two things that I do like.
You don't know shit about me because I know Batman Returns.
Well, Batman Returns, the movie, is different than Batman, The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, but Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton, the best Batman that there was. And I don't think that's just because we were alive and going to movies in the 80s and the 90s. It's because it's actually the truth.
I'm right about that, though, right?
Yes.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I got that one right, so I know about comics.
So what were you doing in 1986, aside from smashing the Halley's Comet Hot Wheel?
I'll tell you what I was doing. I was dressing, probably if it was today, 1986, good weather, chilling. I was dressing up full camo, head to toe, pretending I was John Rambo and shooting something with a real or fake gun.
There's people doing that right now, but they're grown men, fat, bald, big beards, and really, really sad tiny peckers.
Yeah, their peckers were smaller than mine in 1986. Are smaller than mine. Dude, all I gave a shit about was Rambo. It's like, it's nothing's really changed, I guess.
All right, well, speaking of that, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and just answer them as quickly as possible. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
True or false? I was a big Stallone fan, but since we started watching Stallone movies on tour, he's the only thing that occupies my thoughts.
True.
True or false? You were never a big wrestling fan until I introduced you to Ravishing Rick Rude, and now it's the only thing in the world you could possibly ever care about.
True.
True or false? You like toilet better than scuzz.
True. 100%.
True or false? We were the two coolest men to ever go to the city of New Paltz, and they despise us, but we're on Long Island, and we don't give a shit, and all those people are losers.
If I ever go back to New Paltz again, true, because I'll fight everybody there.
True or false? He's a cop?
God damn it. Yeah, true.
True or false? Your best friend ever is
I'm going to answer honestly. False. Let's fight.
True or false? Soldiers.
Fucking, yes, true. Is that your rapid fire?
Yeah, that's the end of the rapid fire.
Those
questions.
Are cool.
So just real quick for our thousands and millions of listeners, give me a rundown of what you're up to now.
Well, with all the COVID shit going on, I'm stuck in my house with my kid and my girlfriend, and we're hanging out and watching Disney Plus and all that cool shit. Kind of working. I'm only working 2 days a week, so I'm picking up other jobs with other friends who own businesses and shit like that. And I'm not touring, which is so the shittiest. But I also started tattooing a bunch of people. Oh my God, it's so cool, man. I'm actually good at it. Like, I was just like, fuck it. If we're going to be stuck at home quarantine, I'm going to start doing cool tattoos. And I like spent some money and got some good shit. And I don't give a shit that it's illegal. I'm tattooing cool as fuck shit on people.
I get these pictures through text message, SMS. Man, it rocks. I can't wait to go over there and get a new tattoo.
I can't wait for you to come get tattooed. But yeah, man, that's fucking cool. I've been doing that. Been getting sunburned at the beach.
Do you remember how we were supposed to be on tour right now?
Yes.
We're supposed to be on an amazing 6-week North American tour with 4 other bands. Maybe it'll happen this fall instead.
But yeah, we definitely had some cool shit going on, and now we're just hanging around.
Well, we're still recording the new Extinction A.D record, despite being locked down. When it comes out, who is to know? But it will be available at some point in the future on Good Fight Records. And that brings us to this week's sponsor, which is Good Fight Music. Good Fight Music is one of the leading record labels in heavy music with such bands as The Chariot, End, Crypto Deer, Disembodied, Extinction A.D, Cancer Bats, and more. Head over to goodfightmusic.com and pick up t-shirts, records, hoodies, and all sorts of goodies while they continue to ship out merchandise during the COVID-19 pandemic with a limited but dedicated staff directly supporting your favorite artists in the time they need most. goodfightmusic.com. You know what time it is?
What time?
Time for an energizing beer.
Oh, God. Well, hold on. I'll get a real life beer. I'm walking down my driveway right now barefoot, and I'm going into the back of my truck where there's a cooler with beer in it. Check this out. I wish this was a video because it's right next to my lawnmower. But here we go. Yeah. Hey, you know what time it is?
What time?
Miller time.
No.
Fine Pilsner beer.
I got a 16-ounce Monster Rehab right now. Cheers, matey. Ahoy, matey. Cheerio.
Oh, you hench, mate. We would kick the shit out of Charlie any day of the week.
March 3rd, 1986. Metallica, Master of Puppets. How come you chose this record?
Best record of that year for sure, right?
There's a lot of stiff competition, but
Let's be honest, though.
This is potentially the best record of all time. And I could even say that knowing full well, this isn't even my favorite Metallica record.
I think it's really cool for Metallica as being the Metallica record that puts them apart from like just like a thrash band, because they started doing that like classical vibe shit with the, you know, obviously the intro to Battery and stuff. Nobody was doing that, so I always felt like this record was like the different side of Metallica going forward, you know?
This is the record that famously everybody at that time was saying that they had sold out. And that obviously wasn't the case. And if you ask Cliff Burton, he said they don't want to get up there and do anything fancy.
Big and fancy.
All right, cool. Let's go through this track by track a little bit. Album opens up with Battery. Like you said, this might be the best intro ever.
Of all time, for sure.
So the intro is so smooth and clean, and even sonically, it's very warm. And then once the whole band pops in, it's so abrasive. It stays melodic, but even sonically, it's so abrasive. Battery, possibly the best opening track of all time. And if it's not number one, it's definitely in the running of top 10 or 5.
I would say it's definitely in the top 1. It's definitely in the top 1 intro of all time.
This was their closer live for years and years. The song is so fast and precise in a way that's not really heard prior to this in 1986. Even against the albums I said prior, Rain and Blood is definitely faster than anything on Master of Puppets, but it's not as precise.
I would argue it's not as heavy either.
You don't believe Rain and Blood is as heavy?
Nah, nothing crushes like... I mean, Battery itself is so heavy.
That's a new element for Metallica, I think, on this record, where... Not that they weren't heavy prior, but this record is like 2 steps heavier than any of their stuff prior. And that another thing was like a game changer for metal overall, but especially in the thrash genre. Wow, you could play that with your hands?
He doesn't even use a pick.
It hasn't been played like that since Cliff.
I always thought that this record was so heavy because I got this record before I got Ride the Lightning somehow in my single digit years. So going from that to Master of Puppets, I was like, wow, this is really heavy.
Wow. Owen Wilson? You bought the record with Owen Wilson?
Wow.
Wow. Do you have Master of Puppets?
Owen Wilson's kid lives right down the street from me. I'm looking at his house right now. He banged some chick that lives down the street from me, and she had a kid.
Wow. So second, the title track, Master of Puppets. I always thought there was essentially 2 tones on the record, and I mean sonically. There are the super abrasive tracks like Battery, and then the song like Master of Puppets and Orion has more of like a warmer sound.
Yeah, it always had that more heavy track, epic track. Heavy track, you know, it has that like epic, like, I mean, well, they are long as shit, but just more classical sounding music as opposed to like the, you know, super smash heavy shit.
So Master of Puppets, the opening riff is just beyond iconic. I mean, it's the fucking title track of what many consider the best thrash album of all time, so that tells you something right there. Hetfield sounds like the fucking best on this.
Oh, yeah.
He's never sounded as good up until this point as he does on this song. That clean part in the middle, we essentially rip that off on every single record.
Mm-hmm. That is like a blueprint for basically our new record in a way. I mean, that's not funny. It's cool as fuck, but I like that.
I'm always trying to think of our records as parallel with Metallica records. I feel like Faith Killer is akin to Kill 'Em All.
Definitely, yeah.
I feel like Ride the Lightning is very akin to Decimation Treaty comparatively. And I really believe that Master of Puppets is akin to the upcoming record where it's a bit different. It's heavier. It has more melody. It's just like 2 or 3 steps up. We'll see if this parallel pans out. You know?
Or our record will go platinum or whatever the fuck theirs did. Fuck.
So the third track is The Thing That Should Not Be.
Was The Thing That Should Not Be the Afterthought song?
Yeah, The Thing That Should Not Be was written in the studio when they didn't think they had enough material to make a full length. But this is slow and heavy as Godzilla deadlifting King Kong.
Yeah, what a fucking song to just throw together because you need a filler track.
Lyrically, the whole rest of the album is very serious and very focused. And then this song, Cliff Burton was a maniac and loved Lovecraft and got Hetfield into it. He decided, hey, let's write another song about Cthulhu.
Yeah, they wrote 3 or 4 songs about that, right?
Call Cthulhu, The Thing That Should Not Be. One of the songs on the new record, Cthulhu Awakens, which is not the name of the song. Primus covered this song for some type of Metallica tribute, and it straight up ruined this song for me for like 10 years because the Primus version is slower and shittier, and it has that South Park guy just thing that should not be.
Yeah, is it weird knowing that they were so into Lovecraft and he wasn't he like a full-blown racist?
Oh, I do not know that.
I think he was.
Wow. I hope not, but it would make sense because it seems like everybody in the world is a straight up racist.
Yeah, that bums me out because obviously you want your favorite bands to be cool as fuck, but that's something that I think about now.
Track 4, Sanitarium, the standard track 4 Metallica ballad with the ever-present Roland jazz chorus clean tone. Hetfield's harmonies on this are just crazy for what he had done prior. To listen to Kill 'Em All and to think that he's going to start singing harmonies a little bit on Ride the Lightning, then he's going nuts on Master of Puppets, just gets more and more and more until he joins the Stray Cats for a little while.
Oh, yeah. He's doing a Stray Cat strut on this record, man. Funny thing about this song is, I mean, obviously now I think it's awesome and it's good Metallica. But when I was a teenager and nothing was cooler than Battery, I used to skip this song every time because I couldn't listen to pussy music.
You didn't really like that they were getting away from the power chords and getting into the more, good guitar.
The more good guitar work.
I like that.
I like that too. Sounds like he's in an echo chamber.
Lars. Have you ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah.
This song loosely based upon Jack Nicholson's character and his point of view from that movie, which is awesome. I always thought, oh yeah, it's about a guy in a mental institution who's going crazy, but he doesn't feel like he's going crazy. I never put the two together. So that's a movie that I've loved since I was a little child.
I actually didn't know that's what this was about.
I don't know if it's about it specifically and directly, but it was heavily influenced by, hey, you're the sane one in the insane asylum, and because you're the sane one, everyone thinks that you're the crazy one, which I kind of feel like Earth right now is a bit of Sanitarium, and I also don't belong here. So I want to say, not just leave me alone, but the live version, leave me the fuck alone.
Exactly. And I want to say thanks, James, for writing that for us. James, spelled with a Z, for this current Leave Us the Fuck Alone.
So it goes from the track 4 ballad to Disposable Heroes, so it's right back to the abrasive tone. Man, this is like a fucking bulldozer of a thrash song, The speed's changing back and forth from fast and double-picked thrash to downstroke, pound, and stomp. The lyrics on this whole album, but specifically on this song, show so much improvement and thought outside of just the fascination with death Hetfield had on Ride the Lightning. This album has a lot of commentary on social issues and the problematic military. So I was doing some extra research on this record. I thought I knew everything there was to know about Metallica. I found out that Hetfield was really inspired also by football players with this, that it wasn't Disposable Heroes, just kids being sent off to war, but sucking the life out of a football player and getting every last shred of energy and I guess talent a football player has. So putting a guy out there who may still have one more long run or one more long pass or whatever, knowing full well he might get smashed and his career is going to totally be over and he might be left a paraplegic, but hey, we got to win this football game, so put him out there. I thought that was just fucking strange as hell.
Why the fuck would he write about that? That's so weird. This song is so cool to me because I could never fucking actually play it on guitar because nobody can downpick that fast, probably, right? I can't do that shit. Leave me the fuck alone.
Kirk Hammett, I think, shines on this song, and I think it's such bullshit. Can I just tell you something I think is bullshit? I think it's such bullshit that Hammett gets so shit on just because he likes to do a pentatonic scale.
Hey, man, the solos on this record and this song and this record are what I want every solo on all of our songs to sound like. His solos fucking kill this record, hands down.
I think between Master of Puppets, Injustice for All, and the Black Album, Hammett is at his absolute peak. And I know that's kind of a broad spectrum between those 3 albums, but I think he's doing what's appropriate to each song instead of, and I love everything Hammett does regardless. But on Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, he's doing a lot of just shredding for the sake of shredding. By 1986, there was a whole slew of bands following in Metallica's footsteps that were doing that consistently. So he picks and chooses his spots, when to shred, when to get melodic, and when to throw in a little almost vocal line type of thing.
Yeah, it's perfect. You can't fuck with his solos on this record.
So Leper Messiah is up next. That main riff, get the fuck out of here. The 80s Metallica plotting is so strong, and a bucket of poisonous snakes holding sledgehammers. Bow, 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 bow. Also, I'm big on sequencing, and this is the perfect 6th of 8 tracks.
Yeah.
The title for this song was lifted from a David Bowie lyric, which I never knew that before. They're just grabbing influences from fucking this, that, and every other place.
Yeah, this fucking... I'm learning all kinds of weird things that don't make sense to me as far as Metallica's concerned.
So this song about the evangelical superstars of the 80s. Do you remember PTL? Jim Baker? Tammy Faye Baker?
It's ringing a bell, but...
It was just a Christian organization of evangelists, and they had their own channel. It was 24 hours, and you were told to donate money all the time. My grandma, I lived with my grandma until she died in 87, and she was obsessed with PTL, and she would just give all her money to these whack jobs, and Jim Baker got arrested for stealing all that money. I don't know if he fucked kids, though.
He probably did.
Orion, the Cliff Burton Show, possibly the best instrumental of all time, just fucking blast off.
Oh, man.
This song comes on, and you need to blast this song or get bent.
Hey, man, he wasn't trying to do something big and fancy, but, man, he did something big and fancy. This is still my warm-up song for every show I ever play, and it always will be. Yeah, fuck you, dude.
And that middle part is always linked to every Cliff Burton tribute, which is appropriate because it's possibly his greatest piece. And I think that middle part is more iconic than the instrumental on Kill 'Em All.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so simple, too. Just the way it is. Perfect. Don't fuck with it. Just...
Yeah, he wasn't trying to do something big and fancy.
Metal up your ass. I mean, it is. It is really just metal up your ass, if you think about it.
And if you think that that's selling out, whatever.
I just gave the middle finger to the air. There's no one here, but I did it.
That layered bass solo after the bass interlude, it took me years to figure out that that was not a guitar.
Which one?
I always thought that was guitar.
Well, that's fucking your problem.
So the album ends with Damage Incorporated. Same thing. The intro to this song is just layered bass. The last track, just saving the murder for last. When I was listening to this yesterday, I'm driving home from work, speeding, the sun's out, I put the windows down, I'm driving the van at like 70 in a 45, and I'm thinking, this is like a fucking kamikaze soundtrack.
We're going to get into a fight right now, because you're not going to like what I say. It's my least favorite song on the record.
You know what? We're not going to get into a fight about that, because any one of these could be someone's least favorite song on the record and probably still be ahead of most bands' other entire records.
That's true. I mean, I'll still listen to it, and it'll still be, yeah, it's thrashing as fuck. But, yeah, this one, to me, I could have taken it or left it.
Okay, well, maybe we're going to fight now because that's fucking ridiculous.
Well, I'm sorry, man.
When it breaks down, because it's fucking flying jets into everything, and then it breaks down to that one riff, I think that's possibly the heaviest E-tuned breakdown ever. It's another riff that I ripped off several times.
Which riff?
The solo is Shredathon 3000, and he yells, fuck it all, fucking no regrets. There is nothing harder than that, and that is undisputed.
That is true, and I will tattoo that on someone.
You know what? That's going to be the first tattoo you give me, even though you've actually given me several tattoos.
Several
already.
good ones. I tattooed a wrestling doodad.
Oh, you tattooed the Dolph Ziggler logo from the Royal Rumble pool that we did.
I did that one.
Oh, you tattooed Goyle on my ankle.
Oh, yeah, and Goyle. Oh, Goyle rules.
I thought you gave me the XAD tattoo, but I gave you the XAD tattoo.
And I got the shit one.
Why didn't you do it?
We were home for 2 days instead of being on tour where it rocked.
So there it is, Master of Puppets. Where does Puppets rank on the list of Metallica records for you?
2.
What's number 1?
Justice. Do you want the 5? Top 5?
Complete the list.
Okay, Justice, Puppets, Lightning, Black, Kill 'Em All.
I believe mine is Justice, Ride the Lightning, Black Album, Puppets, and Kill 'Em All is a toss-up. Kill 'Em All used to be my favorite.
Wait a second. This record's that low on your list?
Isn't that crazy? It's fucking crazy.
How do you justify Ride the Lightning above Master of Puppets?
I don't know.
Try.
I don't have an answer.
That's weird to me.
I think as I get older, I appreciate it more and more, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, with it being either 4 or 5 on my list of Metallica records, probably in my top 10 of records that exist.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm dumb as hell, man. I don't know shit about anything.
Well, that's true.
So we take Metallica very seriously, and I take wrestling very, very seriously. But man, it is hard to take Wrestlemania 2 seriously. Wrestlemania 2 was April 7th, 1986, so just over a month after Master of Puppets was released. When I watched this the other day, I was doing an 800 rep arm workout.
Man, that is sick as hell. I was eating so much hummus when I watched it.
Were you eating carrots with it?
Celery.
Oh, cells.
Cells as fuck.
Ray Charles is there.
Ray Charles.
Have you ever heard the rumor that Stevie Wonder is not really blind?
No. Ray Charles definitely wasn't blind. He was there the whole time playing that show, dancing around in there.
So you've never seen WrestleMania 2 before?
I'm not going to say I never saw it because I think I vaguely remember from being a little fella some of this shit. Some of it, like I definitely remember the cage match, but I could have like seen it like way down the road on a VHS tape somewhere.
The first match, Paul Orndorff versus Don Morocco. Paul Orndorff is so obviously from Florida with that face and that hair and that tan.
Yeah.
He looks like that crazy asshole fellow worker-outer at the Suicidal Tendencies show.
He is a fellow worker-outer, for sure.
What did that guy say?
He looked at me and you and said, oh, fellow worker-outers. I guess he was looking for some common ground and then was going to ask us if we did coke or meth, but he didn't get the response he wanted.
That's definitely what he was actually looking for. We were somewhere in Western Canada.
He was basically trying to say we were hench as fuck, but he was too matey. He was too matey to spit it out.
Ahoy, matey, you're hench as! This match goes absolutely nowhere and starts to show off with a double count out, and the fans chant bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this match was pretty garbage.
Yeah, this was garbage. I as a wrestling buff that I became over the past tour that we did, this didn't do shit for me.
No. So Mr. T shows up and he yells, "Hey, mama! Hey, woman!"
Oh my God. Mr. T showing up so made me happy and then so disappointed.
I can't wait to talk about
it. Are we going into it right now?
No, we'll get to it.
Okay.
So the second match, we have Macho Man Randy Savage defending the Intercontinental title against George the Animal Steele. Man, everyone on this show so far is on drugs.
Dude, nobody did more drugs than Randy. He was so slinky. He was slithering around. He slithered more than Jake the Snake did in his match. I don't know, like that's the thing, like I wish I like did like a little bit more research and like watched some, like, because obviously I'm really into the Ravishing One, Rick. He's my go-to wrestler, so I watch a lot of him. But man, Macho Man was way slitherier than I thought he was going to be.
What do you think about Macho Man's Kerry King sunglasses?
I like everything about Macho Man, dude. I have no problems with him.
I don't think Macho Man would get all whiny and pissy when we got into an elevator with him.
Oh, I guess you guys are going, hey, Kerry King, relax. You're too fat. No, you don't. We should have done exactly what we did do when the door came back down and opened and just laughed. And then it closed again and we went upstairs.
Well, Gary Holt jumps in the elevator and goes, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll share an elevator.
Gary rocks. He's my really good friend.
Gary does rock. Who do you think will win the fight, Gary Holt or Gary Cioni? George Animal Steele reminds me of Ian when he eats the turnbuckle and then smiles.
I forgot about that.
So the whole time I'm like, who does George Steele remind me of? And I never thought about this. And I couldn't place it. and then he just starts eating the turnbuckle like it's a fucking bag of hot nuts or something, and then smiles with like a goofy look on his face. I was like, oh, it's our good friend and lead guitar player, Ian Samaglia.
Like when he was eating that Taco Bell off of the hood of the van that day. Do you remember that? Unbelievable. Ian the animal
thinks it... Oh my God, we have to just start calling him the animal.
It's the same shit. He was doing the same thing. So, you know what was pissing me off about this match? Okay, you know the homegirl that was hanging out with Vince McMahon? Her the whole time being like, oh, Macho Man, he's so rude to his girlfriend or whoever that chick is. and then Ian... And then Ian the whole time is just trying to make love in her. It's like, back down, dude.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of fucked up shit during this match. And even weirder that Ian decides to eat a turnbuckle instead of dipping his french fries in ketchup that was on the hood of the van like nobody could see.
We saw you,
animal.
I think all that weird shit was better than the actual match itself.
So then we have Jake the Snake versus George Wells. George Wells is way bigger than I remember as a kid, and he looks like Tiny Lister's older brother if he played for the Brewers in 1979 with those fucking pants on. Nothing happens in this match. Jake nails him with a DDT, wraps a snake around him. He has foam coming out of his mouth, and Bob's your uncle.
I like wanted the snake to do like biting and shit, and it just didn't, so it pissed me off. Wait, isn't he the one that punches... Macho Man's girlfriend?
5 years in the future, he slaps her and she spins around. All right, so here we are. Roddy Piper versus Mr. T in a boxing match.
Oh.
So worked boxing, not good, and totally rules.
Okay, so it was definitely worked.
Yeah, this is as worked as anything else.
Because I was watching it and I was hoping like, okay, well, it's boxing. Maybe I'll find like a piece of information from you that it was actually somewhat legit. But man, Mr. T, the slowest fucking punches on earth.
So that's what's interesting about Mr. T being a huge pop icon and a big superstar around this time. And he was known as being, the baddest dude. He was on the A-Team. He was in Rocky III. He looks physically in tremendous condition. And after the first round, he's blown up sky high, and Piper is as fresh as the Bel Air Prince.
I wanted Clubber Lang, and I got fucking KD Lang, dude. Like, it was the weakest shit ever. I wanted him to fucking come out to Macho Man's girlfriend and say, "Hey, mama, hey, woman," some cool shit. Show him what a real man is, but he fucking sucked, dude. Yeah,
eventually the sloppy, slippery body slam ends it, and it makes no sense at all. So the moment everyone's been waiting for, the Fabulous Moolah versus Velvet McIntyre. So Velvet McIntyre is Drew McIntyre's great-grandmother. She looks like a Columbus, Ohio stripper. This might be the worst match in WrestleMania history.
And the best match of WrestleMania 2. This was the best match of the whole night for me. Honestly. Because dude, I was like, oh, I'm watching it, and then like a chick comes out and you can't really see her yet. Then all of a sudden, these fucking old hags appear in the ring. I texted you instantly. I was laughing. I was on my floor laughing. And this fucking hag, and oh my god, dude. Okay, what's the older hag's name?
The older one is the Fabulous Moolah, who was the ladies' world champion.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about her that you don't know, because I have a story about her. All right, this is going to go off the rails for a second. I had and I didn't realize it until I didn't know this was even a real person. I thought it was a fucking thing, a fake thing. So I had a wrestling video game on Nintendo 64 in, 2000, and that chick...
Yeah, WrestleMania 2000
No Mercy,
or No Mercy?
No Mercy. So I had No Mercy, and she was in it. And you know how in that game you could make your own characters? I made one to look like this fucking dork that lives out here called John Waterhouse. It looked exactly like him. It looked exactly like John Waterhouse, and I called him Johnny Waterhouse. We're doing like a Royal Rumble, and in that game, if you got like a badass like knockout or a takedown or something, it would slow-mo it, and like you could replay it and keep replaying it. And this fucking old hag, Fabulous Moolah, she's running away from Johnny Waterhouse. And Johnny Waterhouse hits her with a fucking haymaker from hell in the back of the head. And she fucking sprawls out, hands wide open. It just hits the deck, bro. Out cold, doing Z's. I swear to God, I watched it for an hour straight laughing. Just fucking replaying it. Dying laughing that Johnny Waterhouse knocked out this old lady. Flash forward 20 years to the other day when I'm watching this shit on my television and I see her, I lost my shit, dude. I thought it was a fucking, like a fake avatar the whole time. And it was a real Fabulous Moolah. Holy shit. I lost it. Once I got over the No Mercy shit, I was like, wow, this is good. My favorite part is when, what's not Fabulous Moolah?
Velvet McIntyre.
Velvet McIntyre gets fucking blasted on her hangers, dude. And just goes like face first, hangers first. It was so funny, dude. This whole thing was so funny. I really like that.
Without a doubt, the worst match in the history of mankind. Or the best match. Usually it's the same thing.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Because I think that my favorite match of all time is definitely Gypsy Joe getting thrashed by New Jack. I could watch that 5 times a day. It's so good, and everyone is so sad and scared.
Nikolai Volkov versus Corporal Kirchner. Kirchner is a knockoff of Sergeant Slaughter and all. I think he's as much of a badass G.I. Joe looking guy as it gets. And I honestly always thought he was cooler than Slaughter as far as both of them being good guys. He looks just like you in the 80s. He's wearing double camouflage, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like Rambo. He's Rambo in wrestling.
He's like a power gut version of Rambo.
He's pretty jacked.
Oh, yeah. He's totally 80s power lifter jacked, for sure.
He looked really good in opposition to the world's biggest red underwear I've ever seen. What is that guy doing, man? Like, why are those so long? I mean, those underwear went literally up to his fucking titties, man.
As a kid, I never really gave a shit about this match, and I always wish that Kirchner was on more old videos that I can go and watch. The older I get, the more I think Corporal Kirchner is just rad as hell. I think that this match fucking busts heads.
Yeah, this cracks a lot of craniums, for sure. But, man, that guy's underwear can fuck off, and Rambo rocks.
So the Battle Royal is next, and they have the Where's the Beef woman say where's the beef. She's waiting. She's on the side holding a microphone saying, now, say it now. And then she goes to say where's the beef, and she moves the microphone away from her mouth.
Away from her face. What are you doing, lady?
So the concept of this Battle Royal, I think, is actually pretty fucking cool. Bruno Sammartino is here, and It's absolutely nuts because he's so much older comparatively. Somebody his age, especially a legend of his nature, coming into a Battle Royal today would be commonplace. But back then, it was pretty rare. William Refrigerator Perry is in this match, and he was the biggest deal ever in 1986. He was the star of the Super Bowl champion Bears. He has a lot of interaction with Big John Studd, and I think it's the goddamn best. Russ Francis is another football player, and he looks like someone's dad when he goes to take a piss at 3 a.m. He's wearing like underwear and a wife beater.
Yeah, yep. I mean, dude, if we're talking about what people are wearing, why was the fridge wearing a thong the whole time? What's going on? That singlet was up his fucking ass the whole time, but man, he was going after Big Stud John.
So Andre the Giant wins the first ever WrestleMania Battle Royal. He picks up Bret Hart by the crotch and throws him on the ground.
Who cares?
The next match, the Dream Team, which is Brutus Beefcake and Greg Valentine versus the British Bulldogs. And the British Bulldogs come down to the ring with Ozzy fucking Osbourne in a pink suit.
Goddamn. He brought all the cocaine. so cool.
He's such a big rock star at this point that you have the most well-known face to heavy metal, and he is part of WrestleMania 2. And what does he decide to do a month later, or not even a month, 1 week later? Hey, you know what? I'm going to take Metallica on tour.
Yeah. The most coolest 1986 thing ever, besides the little boy from Silver Spoons being there.
The finish of this match is just completely absurd and comes out of nowhere. Davey Boy Smith takes Greg Valentine and decides, I'm going to throw his head into my friend's head. Dynamite goes flying off the second turnbuckle, and the Bulldogs make the pin, and they win. The crowd goes fucking bonkers at the end of this. I actually really like this match. My favorite part of this match is
Me too.
Ozzy Osbourne in a pink suit, jumping up and down, holding the WWF Tag Team titles, yelling, British Bulldogs forever!
Doing exactly the same jumping up and down he does on stage is so funny. It's the same move he does during...
I was waiting for him to start clapping.
Yeah, exactly. He's supposed to start clapping and doing fucking Paranoid. Ozzy being there is so cool. What's even cooler than that is how much steroids the British Bulldogs were on, because those guys rock the house.
The absolute best.
Davey Boy
is huge, and he became the bigger star, but I think Dynamite Kid is essentially the prototype for all modern wrestlers with his style. But talk about a guy who put 20 to 30 more pounds of muscle onto a frame that it absolutely wasn't built for and just looks amazing. I don't want to say mainstream fan. I just wish more wrestling fans overall would understand that Dynamite Kid is just so important to the history of wrestling.
I know about doing lat pull downs, and those fucking guys do some.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Hercules. Rick Steamboat rules. I hated this version of Hercules. The ring announcer is Lee Marshall, who was also the voice of Tony the Tiger in the 90s and the 2000s.
Okay.
That's all I really have to say about this match.
He's great.
Yo, Rick Steamboat is just so awesome. And this is the second WrestleMania in a row where he has matches that are just completely unremarkable, which is a bummer. By WrestleMania 3, he has what people consider the best match of all time.
I don't understand that guy, man.
How so?
I don't understand him. Like,
there's a big long story about what his real name is and how he wound up with this name, but they tell that story on every other podcast, and I don't think you care about it, and I'm sick of hearing about it. Adorable Adrian Adonis versus Uncle Elmer.
This is a weird one, too.
So now we have the heel drag queen versus the babyface giant hillbilly. And that's totally backwards because I could never imagine myself rooting for a giant hillbilly over a giant drag queen.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this
Uncle Elmer is so shitty and disgusting that at one point he hits Adrian Adonis and then falls over. I love the finish of this. I love that Adrian Adonis goes over.
I don't have anything cool to say about this one.
All right, what about the Hulk Hogan promo afterwards?
Standing on the bench. Standing on his bench.
Doing straight leg deadlifts next to Hillbilly Jim, and Lord Alfred Hayes is there in Brother Love's suit.
So funny. Doing Hulk Hogan doing 135-pound deadlifts. Hey, what are you doing?
He does the deadlifts, and then he moves over to doing the pull-ups with the dumbbell around his neck.
Hanging 100-plus pound dumbbell around his neck by a chain, and then clearly just doing calf raises near a fucking pull-up bar.
So now we have the Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana versus Hoss Funk and your close personal best friend, Terry Funk.
Dude, let me tell you something right now. You didn't even tell me that my friend Terry flew all the way in from the Double Cross Ranch just to hang out at WrestleMania 2 because I got so excited when I saw my boy coming down the aisle. Who rocks harder than Terry Funk?
Do you think Rick Rude rocks harder than Terry Funk?
Yeah, absolutely. So, aside from the ravishing one, who rocks harder than Terry Funk? Because I didn't even know that he had a brother called Haas, and that guy is just my dad's brother. That's literally my dad's brother who you met.
Terry Funk is so floppy and fucking cool in this match.
He's the best. Besides obviously a couple other guys, but man, I got excited when I saw him, and he did some cool damage, and he was throwing that chair around, that little worm through that fucking thing. the megaphone.
Oh, Jimmy Mouth of the South Heart?
Yeah, that little worm on the outside going, come on, get him, you. That little asshole. Man, those guys are good at cheating.
And it's 1986, and Terry Funk does a table spot, which I had no recollection of. Real cool shit, man. It's so sick seeing Terry Funk in WWF because he's such a legend and he spent hardly any time in WWF.
Well, dude, he's too hardcore for that shit, man. And you know that. He's the hardcore, he's the king. It's my second favorite all-time wrestler of all time. Terry Funk.
What's your top three?
Oh, obviously Rick Rude. Gonna get that tattoo, the same one he has, because I have an open spot right there, so it only makes sense. I'll get that same tattoo, and it'll say "Rip Ricky" under it. It'll say "Rip to my good pal Ricky" under it, and then it would be Terry Funk, and then it would be number 3 would be 2 people, and it would be the British Bulldogs because they do more steroids than probably anybody in 1986 ever did.
When you said 2 people, I couldn't believe that you didn't just tie Gypsy Joe and New Jack.
Well, Gypsy Joe definitely is not in my top. New Jack is definitely in the ranks because he fucking slaughters him that night in that little VFW hall that American Ice Age used to play. But,
so before the main event, you see everybody building the cage, and the people building the cage look like everybody's dad once more. So there's lots of dads in 1986, just not mine. Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in the cage. So I think my favorite part of this match is Hogan comes in with his ribs taped, and Bundy's in there, and he's going to go after the ribs, so he's ripping his tape off. And Elvira is doing commentary with Jesse Ventura.
oh, yeah.
And she goes, oh, he's taking off his clothes. Oh no, it's just his belt. And it's not his belt, it's protective tape. Bloody King Kong Bundy is just so perfect for that smoothed out, bald ass head.
Yeah.
This is a typical Hogan cage match, especially when he's in there with a big fat guy where the bigger guy is just decimating Hogan, and Hogan keeps stopping him from getting out of the cage until Hogan does his comeback. I love when Bundy hits Hogan with the avalanche in the corner, and Hogan just no-sells it, which is just so typical Hogan, but this still gets me psyched. This makes me feel like I'm 6 years old and still getting psyched about it.
That's like such a dick move, right?
Not in this situation because that was Hogan's deal, or gimmick rather.
Okay.
Modern wrestling fans hate how in the 80s and the early 90s, escaping the cage was winning the match because they feel like, oh, that's so pussy. You should pin the guy or make him submit. The cage is to keep you in, not to get you out. Maybe because I was in the height of my fandom while that was the stipulation. I think leaving the cage to win is super cool. So I don't know. What do you think about people leaving the cage to win as opposed to just pinning the guy?
I mean, I'm cool with either, I guess. I think that if you can't stop Hulk Hogan from getting out of the cage, then go fuck yourself. That's your job, you asshole.
You have the same hair color as Hulk Hogan.
Right now I do, yeah. Same haircut almost, basically, without the bald spot. Jesse Ventura's fucking headdress. Hey, what's he doing? What the fuck are you doing, man? You and Elvira keep fucking talking about, like, hot big men getting turned on. You're wearing gold hair hanging out of your hat, man. You know what I'm saying? And then fucking Gorilla Monsoon over there, he keeps fucking telling Elvira that she's gonna get a hot date with fucking King Kong. This whole thing is weird, man. This whole show from start to finish is weird, and they cap it off with Elvira getting turned on next to fucking Goldhead.
So that's WrestleMania 2, and it really is such a strange event.
Silver Spoon's boy.
Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah, what the fuck, man?
He's so happy to get in the ring, and he keeps pulling his pants up.
And then at the end, he's like so excited to be in there when they're like holding the belt. If anybody wants to just fucking watch something that it doesn't make any sense and makes you feel weird, then watch this shit because fucking Fabulous Moolah is gonna fucking take you for a ride.
The slasher pick this week, May 23rd, 1986, Sylvester Stallone underrated project, Cobra. How come you picked this movie?
This was probably my second most favorite movie at the time. I think my dad used to put it on. Well, you don't have kids yet, but you will. And eventually you'll put on a movie that just like keeps them busy for a while. Well, this was the one my dad chose. So I've seen this movie probably 6,000 times. I mean, First Blood was my first favorite movie, and this was my second favorite movie ever.
So I hadn't seen this movie since probably 1989.
That's stupid as fuck, dude.
It's one of many terrible decisions I make every day.
Man, you ruined your adult life.
Is there a better opening scene to a movie than this one?
Nope.
A terrorist robber blowing up fruit with a shotgun?
That guy's outfit and everything about him is so cool. But what's cooler about him is his disgusting face. This guy is like the perfect guy for that scene for sure, because he's so greasy and scarred up and shitty. I love this movie. Let's go.
Awesome 50.
Awesome 50. I built a car just like that.
I am so mad that we don't have Awesome 50 vanity plates on the Extinction A.D van right now.
We can make that happen.
The dialogue in this movie fucking rocks the house so hard.
I always thought this movie was like really like serious, and like everything he said, I never thought it was comedy. Watching it the other day, I was like, oh, he just keeps hitting him with one-liners.
That's what's so cool of movies of this genre. In all actuality, this is kind of a thriller with a little bit, like a hair of horror in it also. It's not just a straight action movie.
Yeah.
But these movies, you watch them as a kid, and every piece of dialogue seems like a badass, serious one-liner. And then you watch it as an adult, and it's still that, but there's so much humor in it. So I don't believe it was intentional, but man, these movies, in my opinion, age so well because of that. I love when Stallone plays parts where he's kind of smart and not like the Rocky type of dumbass.
Yeah.
He's not a rock scientist in this movie, but he's definitely not like a dumbass like he is in most of his other movies.
Well, he doesn't do science on rocks for sure, but I think he plays this character really cool. It definitely like probably at that time was the first time he ever did something like this. Watching it the other day, I was like, oh, this is cool as fuck and different to me now that I'm grown as fuck. And I like that.
So how about the old Toys R Us commercial playing on that shitty old TV while he cuts pizza with scissors?
With fucking scissors. What are you doing, man? Hey, asshole, take off your leather gloves. Don't ever cut your pizza with scissors. And how about clean your gun and then eat? Don't do them both at the same time. What are you doing, man?
I forgot that Brigitte Nielsen was ever hot. And then she shows up with that brown curly hair and this shit, just 80s as hell.
Oh, wait, dude. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's the chick that was hooking up with Flav Flav. I never realized that until the other day also, that was the connection. But she was also in Rocky IV, cool as hell then, too.
Cobra was released after Rocky IV, which to me is just so crazy because she seems so much younger in Cobra than she does in Rocky IV.
What year is Rocky IV?
Rocky IV, I think, is 85. How about those cool robots she's hanging out with?
Yeah, I forgot about that part. I was like, what are these robots that keep flashing during the montage? And then it took me a while to get back there.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get this story going. You don't really know exactly what's going on. All of a sudden, you have a model taking pictures in a million different outfits with cool robots. The soundtrack to this movie is so shitty, but obviously that makes it even more bitchin'.
Yeah, this is definitely the same guy that did the one-off songs for Rocky IV. It's got to be. It's like the same
There's
shit.
No easy way out.
Yeah, it's that guy. It's definitely that guy. That fucking montage where he pushes the Mexican guy's car and he just flicks the cig at him or whatever he does. It's like, hey man, what are you doing? You can't just ram people's cars.
They were in his way. They were double parked.
Hey, don't triple park me.
So after the photo shoot, some creepy group of people try to kill everyone in the world. So they decide to just do the whole van cop smusher. They smush that guy.
They smush the fuck out of that guy.
I thought I was sick because I smushed that guy in with the van when he was but man, I never smushed a cop with a van.
Man, we got to try that next.
The chase in the Awesome 50 and all the other 80s cars is so cool. He flips up a switch. Oh, nitrous.
He jumps that fucking thing off a building. Jumps his car off a fucking building and keeps driving. So sick. They ruined about 45 of those cars.
Yo, did you notice the Cobra tattoo that he has?
Yeah.
That is what we need to do.
Marion Cobretti obviously has a Cobra tattoo.
That'll be the next tattoo that we give each other. So you can give me one that looks really good, and I'll give you one that looks absolutely flawless, like all the other tattoos I've given you.
I'll just give them both to us, I think. We could insert a picture of the shitty tattoo you gave me.
What is your favorite tattoo that I've given you?
ZZ Top Gun. Hands down, ZZ Top Gun. You can't read it anymore, but
Well, that's because you didn't take care of it.
yeah, well, tattoo aftercare is really important. Number one, ZZ Top Gun. Number two was probably the Wapo smiley face. Number three would be my rot tattoo with the double upside down crosses, because gotta have that. It looks like twat. It looks like it says twat. Number three would be this gruesome Extinction A.D tattoo.
I love that there's 2 number 3s.
Was there 2 number 3s? Well, whatever, man. I don't want to give one a number 4 ranking because they're all so good.
How about Marion Cobretti's best friend just eating junk food ass sidekick?
Dude, Marion Cobretti's best friend is so cool because he's like, hey, he's a cool best friend. And then they fucking ditch his ass when he's probably dying. They're just like, hey, what's his name? Chubbs or whatever his name is.
Waldo?
Yeah, they're like, she's like, where's Waldo? And he's like, fuck him. And they just drive away. Where's Waldo working perfectly?
Oh, just give him some Swedish fish.
Don't eat junk food. How about a piece of celery? You don't like health food? You don't like health food, he says.
So like 3/4 of the way through the movie, I totally forgot about like the axe clanging gang.
Mm-hmm.
But then they just show up at the end, kind of, but not even really. Marion Cobretti goes to the bar and the jukebox isn't working, so we like Fonzie's the jukebox.
Hey.
So him and Brigitte Nielsen go to an Airbnb, and then it gets all Scarfaced out right after he's done slamming her. And then now I'm wondering why there's just all of a sudden like a whole new gang after him. It doesn't matter, though.
They had roughly 6 or 7 motorcycles driving up the PCH. There was, within a matter of 12 minutes, 800 pickup trucks, motorcycles, bazookas, and hand grenades flying into their Airbnb. And that makes total sense because that bitch cop lady called them all.
Oh, the traitor.
That snake in the grass.
That treacherous witch.
Waldo says, I never liked that bitch. Just because they had to put bitch in there. I never liked that bitch. And then he gets shot and left for dead.
There's like 3 insane fight scenes in a row. They wind up in a warehouse with fire everywhere because it's an 80s movie. And I don't care that it's a tired cliche because I think it's the best. How about, he says, you have the right to remain silent while setting that assassin ablaze.
Yeah. How about the fact that they go, let's just assume that that's like some sort of place where people work, like a steel mill or something. There's one light bulb in the whole place that works. The only light is from the fire that's spilling out on the floor. This whole place is like an ocean nightmare. Like, what is going on? There's fire on the floor and one fucking light bulb and tons of metal staircases. Where are you? But I like that.
The finish on the Night Slasher is like Captain Hook and fiery death.
The way that guy screams at the end is real sick. To backtrack a little bit, like, because we're like skipping forward, when that guy is sharpening his knife, the bad guy, and his face looks the way it does, and he's so wet and greasy, and that bitch cop comes in to tell him that they know, he's so sick. I remember as a kid being like, man, this guy rocks.
It's totally cool because the villain at the beginning of the movie his face is all fucked up, and he's kind of like the jobber.
That's part of the gang.
And then the Night Slasher is like the big boss at the end.
You have to have a fucked up face to be in that team. That guy rocks.
Yeah, it's a pretty good team. So after the whole entire fight is over, Cobretti goes out there and he's like, hey, I just blow things up. It doesn't matter. And that little weasel cop is like, all right, fine. Thanks for doing that, but I still don't like you. So Cobra punches the weasel and then leaves with the Amazonian Russian on a stolen motorcycle with no helmet.
Both no helmets.
And we never find out what the axe clanging gang was.
Yeah, there's like no loose ends are tied up at anything. It's just he fucked everybody up, and it's the perfect 80s movie. And when he hits that fucking weasel with the right cross and doesn't let him fall, holds on to his hand to make sure his bitch ass stays afloat, man, that is some cool shit.
It rocks. This movie is just... This movie is way better than it has any right being.
Yeah, that's why it made my top 2 list of all time.
So 1986 was fucking cool as hell because anything that was really good was the best, and anything that sucks is even better. Okay, so Master of Puppets, WrestleMania 2, Cobra. What's your favorite song from Master of Puppets, your favorite match from WrestleMania 2, and your favorite scene from Cobra?
Favorite song from Master of Puppets is Battery, because that thing does not stop being the coolest ever. Favorite match from WrestleMania is hands down, without a doubt, those 2 old hags getting after it.
You suck.
No, dude, you suck. Because the only thing that would have made that match better is if Johnny Waterhouse was there to fucking haymaker that bitch in the back of the head. And what was the third one? What was my favorite scene?
Favorite scene from Cobra.
Favorite scene from Cobra. I'm going to have to go with the car chase, man. They destroyed like 45 of those cars in 5 minutes. And he jumped it off a building.
That car chase is so fucking rad. He jumps it off a fucking building.
And then he tells that fucking king shit cop to buy him a new car, and they tell him to get fucked.
I'm going to say my favorite song from Master of Puppets is between Battery and Orion. It's hard to pick because those 2 songs are just so different from each other. It's kind of like the polar opposites of what this album encompasses. My favorite match from WrestleMania 2, I'm going to say, is the Dream Team versus the British Bulldogs. I think in some ways that's the best that the British Bulldogs looked on a grand stage up until that point. And probably even after that point, as far as the team goes. My favorite scene from Cobra, I think, is the opening scene. It just sets the stage right from the very beginning of who Cobra is. And hey, I'm trying to do the right thing, but I don't fucking care. I'm just going to shoot this guy. And he drives in with the awesome 50. Holy fuck, man. That thing is so sick.
Got anything on this guy? Nothing yet. Man, that movie rocks.
What, you don't like health food?
Hey, it's an apple. Ever hear of it?
Where could everybody find you on social media, Tom?
I only go on the Instagram. So it's twood631 on the Instagram. And probably on Extinction A.D's Instagram also.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RickIsHell. Make sure you follow this podcast on Instagram at thrash/maniapod, on Twitter at maniapod, and shoot me an email at thrash/maniapod@gmail.com. You could also keep up with our band Extinction A.D at Extinction A.D on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook for whatever metallic needs you have, as well as our brother show, Stiff Shots Podcast at Stiff Shots Pod, which streams every single Friday. Next week, I'll be chatting with Bill Ryan, Mastic brother and former victim of a Grey Goose bottle to the head, and we're discussing 1987, which is WrestleMania 3, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, and Predator. Also, hit that subscribe button on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Pod. And as always, you know the drill. Leave a 5-star review and shoot me a message so I could have so much fun constantly before the entire world falls apart, even more than it already is. The world's a toilet. Not the drummer toilet.
Because he rocks.
But the thing that you shit in. Stay safe, lift weights, chug a Red Bull, bang your head, and never don't kick ass.
Dude, this thing's like a cocaine. We're false prophet later.